A very good evening to all the students and parents who are joining us from around India now. And a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the presenters who are joining us from different parts of the world today. We are so thrilled to have three exceptional summer schools with us on this call. We'll be first listening to Mr. Will Finlayson, who will talk about one of the best summer schools in the UK called Summer Boarding Courses (SBC). Uh, then we'll hear Professor Sanjay Kothari as he takes us through some fantastic summer programs in Singapore, and we'll close with Katie Regana, who is going to take us through her summer programs which are based in the US and in Europe. So I'm very thrilled to hear all of you, and I'm sure the students are excited as well. And as we see more and more students joining, let me just take a moment to invite all the students to apply for summer school scholarships on our website, which is next-genius.com. Next Genius connects you with scholarships at some of these fantastic summer schools, and you can benefit from our scholarships by once you apply to us, you'll participate in a couple of rounds of interviews before winning the scholarships. With that, I don't want to take up any more time, and let me invite Will first. Will, it's such a pleasure to have you with us here today, and we look forward to learning everything about SBC.
Thanks very much, Devesh. Let me just share my screen with everybody. Perfect. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening and to speak to you about our programs that will be taking place here in the UK this summer. SBC has been ranked as the UK's #1 summer program every year since 2018, and we're really looking forward to welcoming many of you to join us this summer. Students who come and join our programs will have the opportunity to live and learn at iconic British campuses, take place in really bespoke, enhanced learning environments, build lifelong friendships and confidence, explore subjects in depth with project-based learning, and depart with confidence about how you're going to go forwards into the next stage of your journey academically and career focused. Something that underpins all of our programs is this idea of global citizenship. Obviously, in the world that we live in at the moment, there's never been a more important time to connect with young people from around the world. And last summer, we welcomed students from 105 different countries to our program. So when you join us in the UK, you'll be surrounded by this true global network on whichever program you choose. We've spent a lot of time over the years working on our pathway for students to go through. We recognize that young people such as yourselves are different, and everyone has different stages of the journey. So we have different programs that are designed to support you wherever you are in that journey. And we'll focus on a couple of specific areas today that will really help you as you look towards your future university and career applications. As I mentioned, our programs take place at some of the most iconic institutions in the UK. We work with Eton College, which has educated the royal family for hundreds of years. We work at Oxford University in the city of Cambridge, some of the most iconic learning institutions here in the UK. Now, families choose to study with us for a number of reasons. All of our programs are designed with the student in mind and their learning outcomes at the centre of everything we do. We utilise project-based learning and fieldwork to give students real hands-on practical applications and go beyond the curricula that students will experience at school, with a real focus on collaboration and collaborative skills so that young people are not just grounded in subject-based knowledge, but some of those study-based skills that will really put them in a great position to not just enjoy university, but to really thrive when they get to that stage. As a result, all of our programs are underpinned by universal 21st century skills, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, as well as this idea of global citizenship. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about our adventure programs. Now, these programs are going to be ideal if you as a student are academically curious and want a challenge through project-based learning, are considering a future study in a particular subject, would benefit a little bit more from confidence building through discussion and presentation, and want to develop independence through studying abroad. Parents really value this style of program because of their small class sizes, ensuring personalized attention, clear academic outcomes with reports and reference letters, and most importantly, a really safe, structured environment on prestigious campuses, particularly targeted at students who are early in their study abroad journey and perhaps haven't taken their first overseas experience yet. They'll also benefit from experience of living in iconic UK boarding school environments and meeting students from all over the world and developing that global awareness. All of these programs are characterized by learning by doing. So whether students are studying entrepreneur, global leadership, science, or art, they're going to be taking part in interactive workshops, small maximum 15 classes, alongside a real action-packed activity program. This program is probably our closest to a study holiday, where there's a balance between 15 hours of academic content per week and then a social and cultural program appropriate for students taking their first steps in the study abroad world. The first program we offer for students in this demographic, 12 to 16-year-olds, is at Headington, Oxford, a beautiful school just outside the centre of Oxford, which is a campus. So they have, this wonderful, very traditional British campus, lots of green space for students to study in, where there's a real opportunity for students to relax, play some cricket, play some new sports outside on the campus while undertaking their study. Here we offer programs for future doctors, future entrepreneurs, future global leaders, and future scientists. At the end of each week, the students will take place in a presentation, and here the theme is Big Solutions Challenges, giving young people some of the biggest challenges we face in the 21st century to tackle as a group and put together some real tangible outcomes. We now have our program at Eton College, probably the most iconic learning institution we have here in the UK. Very close to Windsor Castle, the home of the royal family. This is a quintessentially UK experience. Students can take 1-week programs in global leadership, business, and STEM, and at the end, again, doing a presentation, this time in the iconic Jafar Hall, which is Eton's purpose-built debating chamber, modelled on the Houses of Parliament in the UK. Now, the subject of this presentation is obviously looking towards your future. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time focusing on our next tier of academic programs, which are our most academic in their nature and our most iconic, designed to give students a real pre-university flavour. These kind of programs are ideal for students who want to explore a subject at an undergraduate level and leave with meaningful examples to talk about when they come to make their applications. It's also great for students who are deciding what they want to pursue and they're not quite sure, as well as those of you who are certain and want to thoroughly build your portfolio out. These are designed for learning independently, working collaboratively, and working with experienced mentors, much more mirroring the style of university lecturing that we receive. Parents value this program because the child is really challenged whilst having a fully supportive environment. It's a short-term opportunity, an opportunity to come and try a subject before making a long-term 3, 4, or 5-year commitment to study at an undergraduate level. And the learning is really structured, focused in real-world outcomes, not just classroom time, taking place on great UK campuses and giving that real sort of study abroad feel. They'll also benefit from global citizenship, collaborating with students, and really the opportunity to apply that knowledge from different cultural backgrounds, and living and studying in a university style environment while still having a safety net of the pastoral needs of a summer program. Now, these programs will further develop that university skills that we're looking for and give much more tangibles to talk about when coming to the application process. Everything leads towards a presentation where groups will have worked on a project that they then deliver at an undergraduate level and receive feedback on. We run this program in Cambridge, where we have our own school, and it's a city-style campus with modern facilities, single ensuite accommodation, labs where students can do science experiments. And all of these subjects are taught in a faculty style. So you won't just be working with one tutor across the whole 40 hours of the program. You'll be working with multiple tutors, so you're getting exposure to different styles of expertise. We then move on to our most iconic program, which is our Oxford College program. So this takes place across 3 campuses of Oxford University. So students will be living on an Oxford University campus and having that real quintessential study experience. Here, students have 4 subjects to choose from: Faculty of Business, Global Leadership, Law, and Medicine. Across the course of their 2-week cycle, they'll be working in teams to deliver and develop projects, which they can then go on to talk about when they're coming to make their applications at a university level. There's a QR code just here for those of you who would like to gather some more information about the program. There's also a really handy tool on our website to help students find specific programs and explore different subjects that they need. And Devesh, to make sure I'm keeping to time, I'm going to wrap it there and hand over to Professor Kathari.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Will. And thanks for keeping it within time. Professor Kothari, over to you.
Thanks, Devesh, and thanks, Will. Just give me a minute here. Let me just share my screen. Okay, I guess, can people see this?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. All right, so UniPrep 101 is a Singapore-based edutech organization, and we essentially are running residential boot camps here in Singapore. The central idea behind this is, as you build your portfolio, as acceptances in universities and colleges are getting tougher and tougher, and as you build your portfolio, as you're going through your grades from 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, right? You essentially have to start distinguishing yourself through different experiences. And this is what we intend to provide over here in Singapore. What I'd like to emphasize over here is the fact that these certificates that you get from our programs do not come from us. They come from the universities that we work with here in Singapore. And that is very important because, to be quite honest, we are a commercial organization. Getting a certificate of completion from us as relative to a recognized public university in Singapore, it's a very different impact. So it took us a long time, and both the universities had to do a lot of due diligence on us before they agreed to it. But that is now the situation, and our boot camps, our programs run with certificates being issued by the respective universities. So with that, let me just go into the 2 main programs. Before that, so we have essentially the STEM Prep 101 program and the BIS Prep 101 program. And let me just go through the actual details of the program. It's a 9-day program for both. So let's first talk about STEM Prep 101. So STEM Prep 101 essentially is run by the Singapore University of Technology and Design, SUTD. Just to give you a background on SUTD, of course, those of you who are familiar with Singapore will probably know the familiar granddaddies of the scene, NUS and NTU. These are decades-old universities in Singapore. In the late 1990s, the Singapore government perceived the need to set up something very focused on design and technology. And with Singapore's sort of style to just go and team up with the best, they invited MIT from the US. I'm sure everybody on this webinar is familiar with MIT. I don't think they need any introduction. So MIT set up the university, they set up the curriculum. The initial faculty was from MIT, and even today, MIT professors sit on the board of governors of SUTD. So this is really Singapore's MIT, the DNA, the pedagogy of how MIT conducts its design and technology classes is ingrained very deeply here, and therefore it's quite different from a learning experience you might get in a more conventional setting like NUS or NTU, right? So on this one, we are running this, as I said, rather it's being run by SUTD. We are limiting the batch size to 35 students, again, to preserve integrity for the students involved. This is intended for students who are from grades 9 through 12. So we are roughly talking about 15, 16, going up to 18 or 19, depending on, what's your age in that particular grade. The important thing here is that this is an all-in, airport in, airport out. So you pay your own airfare, but after that, once you land in Singapore, everything is included in the program fees, which is housing at a hotel in the Orchard Road area, which is Singapore's sort of tourist and commercial district, local transport, meals, and then the cultural activities, and I'll come to that in a minute. The main focus of the STEM prep focuses on three different aspects: design innovation with AI, smart robotics, and then ideation and prototyping of design solutions, right? So these are three different aspects on different days that you'll be walked through. This is a combination of both structured lectures from SUTD faculty and then followed through by interactive, hands-on experiences that you would have to be able to then see and learn from whatever you've been taught in the structured piece. One of the highlights of this program is that students get to spend one entire day in SUTD's fabrication lab. Uh, the fabrication lab the acronym is Fab Lab, and I think it has rightly earned that acronym because the Fab Lab I'm like a kid in a candy store when I go there. Let me put it that honestly. Okay, it's a wonderful place. The equipment has been set up by MIT, and basically the students essentially go from a design concept, a 3D design concept, through to actual prototyping and production in the course of the entire day, all under the tutelage and the kind of supervision of the SUTD people, right? So that's a wonderful, wonderful experience. I'll come a bit to the tech visits and the industry mentorship in a bit later. Let me turn my attention to BizPrep. So, and as I mentioned over here, the certificate at the end of this program is issued by SUTD, all right? Turning to the business side of things, so this one is the mirror image in business as STEM Prep was for the science students. Over here, our partner in the BizPrep is SMU, Singapore Management University, which is Singapore's top management university. Here, the class size is limited to 30. It's slightly less than the one at STEM Prep because these are limits that, SMU requires us to impose on the batch sizes. The eligibility, the grades we are talking about is the same. And once again, this is an airport in, airport out model. So it includes everything from the time you land at Singapore airport to the time you finish the program and you leave. Over here, just very quickly, I'll just touch upon the main parts of what is taught. Again, this is intensive at the SMU campus, taught by SMU faculty. You start off by essentially looking at two different aspects of analysis. All of us know that when we talk of analysis, our instinct is to talk about quantitative analysis. You pull out an Excel sheet, you'll try to put something together, you'll have some formulas. So that's the quantitative part of it. And that is something that comes intuitively to most of us, whether you're in science or in business. The other piece now, which is becoming increasingly important in this age of digital media, social media, unstructured data, is the qualitative aspects, right? So SMU has very skillfully merged these two aspects of how do you have qualitative analysis alongside quantitative analysis, talks about the two separately, and then towards the end shows you how to combine that into a more holistic analysis. And for both, there's Target that's being used for qualitative analysis, which is an open source software tool for that. And for quantitative, they use the Excel data tool pack, which is again available as an add-on to Excel. Now, once you go through that, as is the case usually with business, right? Most universities use the case study method to teach their students, and this is no different. So what happens here is that the cohort is introduced to some real life business problems by actual business owners. So we are now talking about a real world problem that these guys are facing, and they address the students, they address the cohort and talk about what it is. Once that's done, then the faculty teaches them what are the different problem solving techniques to achieve some tangible business outcomes. And then comes the team challenge piece where you're broken up into different groups and they have to come up with an idea, a solution to whatever the problem statement was and do a final presentation. Okay, so that gives this, of course, it's great for the business owner because he gets a cheap and cheerful solution to his problems, and that's fine. But it's more importantly, it's very important for the students to go through this whole cycle, right? And know that this is not a hypothetical business case, it is an actual business case. Now let's look at the day-to-day very quickly, the day-to-day detailed programs for both. So day zero, so this starts on a Sunday, right? So we have two batches here, 15th to the 23rd of June and 6th to the 14th of July. Day zero is the 14th of June and 5th of July respectively. That's why it's called day zero. So day zero is when people are coming in and transferred from the airport, from Changi Airport to the hotel. You do the check-in, there's an evening dinner where everybody meets everybody, and that's it. So that's just the settling in day, right? So that's on day zero. Day one is when you start the program, and that's basically at the SUTD campus, as I said. And this is all available on our website, so I'm not going to go through it in the interest of time. So this is the day when you're looking at the robotics piece, and then there's a virtual and a physical robot challenge. There's, of course, lunch that we will provide in a bento box. Evening, when you finish, you're transported back to the hotel. Evening dinner at a nice restaurant somewhere in the main area, and then you go back to the hotel, and that's the end of the day's play, right? Day two, you continue back at SUTD, and this is where you now turn to the 3D prototyping piece, right? So this is where you get your hands dirty with the kind of the Fab Lab, as I mentioned, and you get a full introduction to 3D printing techniques, workflows, how do you work with 3D models, etc., and how do you operate 3D printers, okay? And you come away with an actual 3D printed, a souvenir, if you will, that you can take home. Same thing, bento box, lunch at campus, and evening dinner back to the hotel. Day three, we talk about AI. So this is now the third piece, which is now talking about design innovation, part one and part two. I'm not going into the details again in the interest of time. This is all available on our website. You can go through it. Day four is the final day when everything comes together and you're required to do the final presentation. And then there's a certification over here, right? So that happens on day four. Day five is when, so all of this is at the SUTD campus. Day five is when we have networking sessions with technopreneurs, startup entrepreneurs, industry veterans. There's a panel discussion, there's some networking sessions where you can get to interact with the panelists. That evening, which is the Friday evening, is free for you. That's the only time that you are on your own. You manage your own dinner, but then you're free. Day six, Saturday, is cultural activity day, Universal City Studio for the full day. Day seven, the morning half day Singapore City sightseeing tour, and then the iconic gardens by the bay that we have over here in Singapore, which is a sight to see. Day eight is essentially where we organize the company visits, and essentially once you finish that, again, there's lunch in the middle and then evening dinner. Then the final day in the morning, we'll have a university admission session where we'll have the admissions counselors from both these universities come and talk to the students about why SMU or why SUTD, and what does it mean to get admitted over here? What does it take? So this is very valuable information that you will get from the horse's mouth, so as to speak. Okay. Similarly, just very quickly running through the detailed program for the business part. Day zero is common. I won't spend time on it. This is where it's just the SMU piece. So day one, you start at SMU. This is where, as I was talking, you look at the different kinds of analysis now in today's world, in the digital economy. And there's the quantitative piece, which you analyze using PSPP, which is an open source software. And that full day is consumed by just the whole quantitative data piece. Here, day two, essentially the morning session is where you use a software, an open source software called Taget, and look at how do you codify qualitative data. And then how do you put it all together, where you integrate both the qualitative and the quantitative and come up with a full solution, and then you're assessed on that. Day three is where you are now exposed to a real life case study with business owners. And then your instructors will guide you through a collation of the insights. How do you construct empathy maps? And how do you put together the problem statement? What is it that you're trying to solve? Day 4 is essentially the morning session is now you get together, you ideate, you prototype, you're broken up into groups. And then the final afternoon session, you do your group project presentations. There's an assessment, there's feedback. And once again, that's the end of the day's play. Day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8, day 9 are common to both cohorts because that's the networking, that's the cultural activities, that's the company visits, and then the final admissions, the counseling situation, right? So that in a nutshell, I think I'm just about on the clock. So I'll conclude over here. There are FAQs, everything's on the site. Please feel free to reach out to Devesh at Next Genius, and he will come back to me with any feedback, any questions that you guys might have. So with that, I think my clock is running out, so I'll stop here. Katie, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Professor Kothari. While Katie, you present on the screen, may I also request Will and Professor Kothari to share the website links in the chat? And
Yeah.
Katie, yes, over to you. Looking forward to learning more about GBSP.
Great. Thank you, Devesh. Thank you, Professor Kothari. My name is Katie. I'm coming to you from the US this morning from Great Book Summer Program. We have been running programs for high school and middle school students for, I guess this is our 25th summer this year in both the US and in Europe. Our focus at Great Books is college prep with a particular emphasis on building critical thinking, close reading skills. Really, we're looking at Great Books to get you ready, not just for the admissions process of college. Certainly, what we do at Great Books provides excellent fodder for those admissions discussions and your applications for sure. But we're very focused on the skills that will help you succeed once you're in your place at college and looking forward to your bachelor, your master's, your PhD, and on into your career. We like to say at Great Books that we help students. We teach you how to think, not what to think, but how to think. And we have a few programs where we are doing that. Our core program that it all started with is our Great Books and Big Ideas program. This program very closely simulates a classroom experience at a prominent university like University of Oxford, prominent American university, and we engage in seminar style classes. We teach very specifically using shared inquiry, which is very much like Socratic. So you are prepared for your college seminars where class participation matters, and where we're hearing now, frankly, from more of our professors as AI takes hold and colleges are looking for new ways to evaluate students beyond written papers. These oral discussions in the classroom and one-on-one discussions with your college professors may be a more important part of your grade as you enter your college years. And that's precisely what we're preparing you for. We use literature as the catalyst so that you are trained across genres, looking at nonfiction, fiction, short stories, learning how to identify the big ideas within the text, to articulate those ideas clearly, citing evidence to participate not just in a classroom discussion effectively, but as the basis for academic writing as well. We investigate our ideas together through deep discussion. You can see we're on some prominent university campuses. We started 25 years ago at Amherst, very quickly moved to Stanford, where we are sponsored by wonderful Professor Rob Reich, and within the past, I think, 6 years, expanded to Haverford in the US, where we have some interesting new programs, one of which is our leadership program, which is taught by Dr. Schumacher, who is on the Harvard faculty, formerly Wharton, teaching 2 weeks of leadership. I won't dwell too long on our American programs, but I think as you'll see as we go through all of our programs, One of the things that sets us apart at Great Books is the caliber of our faculty. You get substantial time in the classroom of real university faculty and other luminaries. Our Critical Thinking for Entrepreneurship and Innovation program at Stanford this summer is taught by AI entrepreneur, president of the AI platform Udio, Andrew Sanchez, actually formerly a Great Book student. We're pretty proud of that, as well as a business innovator, Dr. Peter Temis, who has worked with companies as diverse as NASA and Disney, General Motors, and well beyond. So really putting you in touch with people who are in the moment in industry. And using real life business cases to give you experience, all the while continuing to emphasize a focus on critical thinking, reasoning, collaboration, and those skills that will take you, far in life, not just through your college admissions process. We also have writing programs. We have writing programs on the Stanford campus, writing programs on the Amherst campus, including one that's a little more travel-based, our Berkshires program, if you would like to get out and get inspired by the homes of the likes of Emily Dickinson, Robert Frost, some of the American New England greats who lived and worked in that part of the country. These are wonderful programs for students who are already considering themselves writers. It's a wonderful writing community. They're also a great place for students who are simply looking to build writing skills in preparation for admissions essays. It's a very mixed community of experienced, students who might call themselves novelists already, again, and those who are just looking to brush up or to take advantage of our new tracks like writing for video games, journalism, or, standard effective writing. We also have, which I think will be of greatest focus, our pre-college travel programs. And I'll note now, I've thrown a little QR code in the corner. Feel free to hit that at any time. It will just bring you to a contact us form on our website, or simply our website. If you'd like me to send you an electronic brochure or more information that way, you can easily submit your info there. But our pre-college travel programs take you to a number of campuses in Europe. We've selected 4 for this summer. We again use our critical thinking focus and shared inquiry style to help you hone those discussion skills, those reasoning skills, and you also get to balance that with a little holiday time, exploring the city that you are taking part in. There's a daily schedule here, but let's skip ahead and look at the campuses. This year, we will be in Athens. This is a return to Athens after a phenomenal program last year. We tend to return every year to Oxford and Dublin and do a couple specialized programs. Our Athens program will be taught by a professor who teaches in Athens at Thrace. She's also a Harvard Hellenic Studies Fellow. So very excited to have Dr. Fossa with us leading that program. And we are headed to Verona, Italy, which you may or may not recognize as the setting for Romeo and Juliet. Rest assured, our studies will be much wider than just that singular focus. We'll also head over to Venice, again, very much focused on building those critical thinking skills, those reasoning skills. And I like to stress, though literature is our catalyst, we're also looking at other inputs and the skills that we learn in those programs focusing on literature, learning how to agree and disagree respectfully, how to build an argument, a cogent argument with citing evidence from the pieces that we're looking at, how to relate big ideas to each other, all are the underpinning for good academic writing and simply a life where one is looking at things in more detail and can collaborate more effectively with peers. I've mentioned our Great Books difference. We think one of our greatest differences is the faculty that you get to work with. These are some of our faculty here. They return to us year after year. If you study with us at Stanford, you aren't necessarily studying with Stanford faculty. You might be studying with Professor Alstonot, who's currently teaching at Scripps, was previously teaching at Harvard. Noah Rosenblum is leading our first week at Amherst this summer. He is a professor at NYU with a law degree from Yale, and a PhD from Columbia as well. They are incredible people. And I will tell you from my own experience in my household, I have a engineering student, a robotics engineering. My daughter is finishing up her undergrad in robotics engineering this year and will head out to get her master's next year. STEM kid through and through. My son is pursuing a master's of business now, and both of them think that great books just help them incredibly in acclimating to their first year at college and in being able to participate right off the cuff on day one in their seminar classes and get to know their teachers. The ability to work with our faculty and have that success with university faculty in a college classroom before you set foot in college as a university student is a tremendous confidence boost, and really helps you take advantage of things like office hours and build that very important rapport with your future instructors quickly and meaningfully. We also have a wonderful host of program assistants. Those are the folks that are our counselors, I suppose. They are overseeing students in pods of about 8 or so. So you have a very personal, close mentor helping you throughout your experience, helping you prepare for your classes the evening before with your group, providing encouragement, oversight, and they themselves are pretty amazing scholars coming from some incredible universities and just having some wide-ranging interests and passions. We get some young teachers who return to us as well. I think you'll find our counselors are upper year undergraduates, grad students, and some young teachers too. So a very meaningful experience to be able to share with you as a student and to give you some future look into what your university life might look like. And I'll just share for my last couple minutes here, because I think, with our name, Great Books Summer Program, it's books, literature is the catalyst. There's so much more at Great Books, and just a few bios of some of our first Great Book students, our first few years of students who are well into their careers now. And you'll see many of them, are our STEM kids. Sally Ward is a physician and OBGYN. Nicole is finishing her biomedical PhD. They started at Great Books and keep in touch with us throughout the years. Cynthia Tong, graduate of Wesleyan, started at Great Books, returned to us as staff, is now a Tony-nominated Broadway producer, returned to us most recently as a guest speaker in that capacity. Madeline Horan here went on to attend Columbia. She's a literature enthusiast. She's teaching literature now. And just a couple more. Jamie Doucette is a CTO in Silicon Valley. Christina Lamoureux is into law. Great Books is really a program where you can gain the experience you need to become a leader in any discipline, on your journey to become a leader in any discipline. And I encourage you to learn a little bit more about it. And if we can help you in any way, please do reach out. Again, the QR code is there. I'll leave it up for one more moment for you to grab it. And thank you for considering Great Books for your summer.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Katie. And thanks once again to all the fantastic presenters today for sharing about the programs. And so, audience, please feel free to post your questions in the chat. We'd be happy to answer that. And while you are posting your questions, maybe I'll just very quickly share about the Next Genius Summer School Scholarship Program. The Next Genius Summer School Scholarship Program, and let me just share the website with you. So the Next Genius Pre-College Scholarship Program helps high school students attend some fantastic summer schools, including the schools that we spoke about today in Singapore, UK, and in the US, and online programs, including online boot camps on future skills and online research programs with Mentor. These summer programs are open for students from grade 8 till grade 12, and the deadline to apply for the programs is April 1. There is no application fees, and you can use this link to apply for our programs. I'll paste the link for our program in the chat, and you'll be able to apply to us online. That's about us, and I hope you found this session helpful. We have about 10 minutes left before we close this meeting, and I see a lot of counselor friends also on this call. So please, if you would like to unmute yourself and ask a question, please feel free to do so. Or if you would like to use the chat feature to ask any question, just feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer those. And the links for the programs are now added in the chat. So you'll be able to open the websites. And may I also request if you could put your email IDs, Katie just did, Professor Kothari will, if you could also put your email IDs or the email ID that you want students to reach out to, so that we can answer, they can reach out to you individually with their questions. So there's one question which says, are all programs also having scholarships at individual level or through Next Genius? I believe for Indian students, the scholarships are through the Next Genius scholarship program only. So you can apply to us, and we'll be happy to take you through the process and help you access these scholarships. Some of you have already applied for Next Genius Scholarship Program. We will get back to you with the next steps in the next couple of weeks, in which we'll connect you with the admission officers from these programs, and they will schedule a call with you for a brief interview and an interaction. And following that interaction, we'll share the next steps with you. So please look out for the emails. So, do we apply individually to the above programs? Yes, apply for all these programs directly on their websites. You can apply for the scholarships on the Next Genius website, but all these programs, we just shared those websites with you, so you can apply directly on their respective websites. Saksham, I am unmuting you. Please ask your question.
Hello there, sir. I hope you're doing well. So I just wanted to know that I saw the websites that have been put in the chat. So the
Yeah.
cost of the program would be 100% subsidized by Next Genius, like if the student gets selected, or the student has to pay anything for this.
So, see, flights are not included in any of the programs. All the flights are to be paid by you. Now, the scholarships vary all the way from 10% to 100%. But the 100% scholarships, as you can imagine, will be highly competitive. Yeah. So there is one student who is going to win that 100% scholarship. So you can imagine the level of competition. We are receiving almost 2,000 applications, over the last couple of years. It's going to be competitive, but yes, definitely there are students who are going to win that scholarship. Yeah. Scholarships are offered on the basis of merit. If we look at your academics, your extracurricular activities, and we look at what is that X factor that really makes you a great fit for that program. And we look at factors to see how you would add value when you join that cohort of students who are attending the summer school. So a couple of questions about the scholarships. I just shared my responses on that. Some of you who joined a little late, don't worry, we will pass on the recording of this session to all of you. So uh, we're almost coming towards the end of the session. Maybe I'll just invite all the presenters once again to just for a quick 1 minute summary, 1 minute overview of or if there is anything that you would like to share with us. Mahika, I'm unmuting you. Dhanesh, I'll just reply to your question on the chat.
Hi,
Mahika, yes.
good evening. Hope you are all well. I wanted to ask, what are the criteria for the scholarship, especially at an academic level? Is there any like specific prior preparation that's required? Or
We are not looking at your academics as such. Of course, there is a certain level of academics that you need to ensure. You know, being in the top 5% of your class definitely helps. But that is just one of the aspects. We are looking at a lot of other aspects as well, including your holistic profile. What else have you done uh, at an extracurricular level? And eventually, the kind of program that you're selecting, how will that program help you in your further education? What is your vision of selecting the program that you have selected while you are applying for scholarships?
yeah. One more thing. What is the weightage that the interview holds, like over the extracurriculars and the academics that have been done? What is the weightage or importance that the interview holds?
So only a small number of students are shortlisted for the interviews finally, which means ultimately the students who are selected for the interviews, one of those students are going to be selected for a scholarship. Yeah. So the final decision happens on the basis of the interview.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. So let me once again invite Will for a quick 1 minute conversation with the audience.
Thanks, Suresh. From my perspective, SBC gives students an opportunity to come and experience the UK, to really build and develop their sort of personal profile as they're heading towards application, and get really clear on what they'd like to do in the future through a series of immersive hands-on learning challenges, through industry experience, and through collaborating with their global peers, whilst living and studying at some of the UK's most iconic locations. I mean, I also absolutely loved hearing Katie and Sanjay's descriptions of their programs as well. So, I think across the board, there's some amazing opportunities for you all to really develop and grow as you're looking towards your university application.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Will, for that. And Professor Kothari, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Devesh. And again, Will, likewise, I think both yourself and Katie are running some fantastic programs in what I just heard today. So I think they'll do very well. You'll do a lot of good to students who join your programs. As far as UniPrep 101 is concerned, I think the biggest strength that we have is that these programs that we run over here, the certificates are issued by the universities, right? Um, Not by us. So that is really the strongest point. And the other part of it is Singapore, as everybody knows, and especially in India, the safety, the security, the proximity to India, all of that are very strong points. And increasingly in today's rather new world order, to say it mildly, I think students need to hedge their bets and need to look at different alternatives just because of the uncertainties that have been caused over the last few months. So that's my piece, really. Thanks, Devesh.
Finally, Katie, yes.
Great. I will, yes, as Sanjay and Will have mentioned, you have all good choices. I think after that, I feel like as an American, that's a bit of a hard intro. I will say, if you choose to come with us to the US, we do have a fully supervised pickup from the airport to, get you returned through and checked in safety. And I'm certain, if families have some questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them privately. And Devesh can point you in the right direction as well. We've had a long history of working with students from around the world. Though fully recognize it's probably not the easiest time right now. Our programs in Europe are exceptional. Truly excited to welcome students to any of our locations. My own kids have gone. It is such a boon to work so closely with professors to focus on critical thinking and really those lifelong skills, and to do so, on a college campus with bright peers. But you have all wonderful choices. So many things to consider this summer. Hope to see you select any one of these programs and expand your academic horizons in whatever way fits what you're looking for best.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Katie. Students, counselors, we have really cherry-picked these programs for you. There are many, many more out there, but we've just selected the best of the best from the UK, from the US, and from Singapore. And there is no doubt that these are top in the class, very, very safe campuses. And students come from multiple countries to attend these programs. So it's not just Indian students, but students from around the world would go and attend these programs, which would really add value and add diversity to the groups. All these programs offer airport to airport structures, which means the students, once they sit in the flight from their cities to the respective locations, they will be welcomed by at the airport by the respective representatives. Of course, you might need to book an extra airport pickup and drop, but those are the kind of the level of engagement and sort of level of attention that is being given to your children. Yeah, it's as Sanjay sir said, it's airport in, airport out. So basically, once you are with them, all their needs are being taken care of. Room, board, all the study materials, everything is being taken care of. Yeah. So yeah, I strongly recommend you to explore these websites and eventually, sign up with the ones that strongly align with what you want to do in your lives. Yeah, and which country you want to study in. So with that, we'll close. You have the email IDs of the representatives and their websites in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to them. Please go and explore their websites, because most of the questions would be answered on the website. These are some very elaborate websites with all the information. So go ahead and check the websites. And if there is anything else that we can help you with, please don't hesitate in reaching out to me. I'll be very happy to answer any questions that you have. Once again, thank you, Will. Thank you, Professor Kothari. Thank you, Katie, for joining us today. And it's such a pleasure to hear about the summer program you're offering. And I hope many of our students get the privilege of attending the programs that you offer. Thank you.